Hey Trevor, we are here in the horticultural area out in the gardens with our team for our weekly garden videos, and we're going to be talking with Trevor here about patterns, symmetry, and design. Three components that really make up the aesthetic. So as you can see, we're being safe here in the gardens, wearing our masks, but we are outdoors, and we're going to talk for a little bit about those things. We are going to be reopening. When are we reopening, Trevor?
It's scheduled for June 6th for members and June 17th for the general public.
June 6th, that's a Saturday for members. June 17th is a Wednesday. If you're not a member, you can join and get that early access. We certainly need your support. So do that. So what are we going to talk about? So we're out here in the East Formal Garden. Where are we? Kind of lay out where we are and what we're looking at.
We're at the back of the house. First of all, Jeff, we're more than 6 feet apart. Do you feel comfortable?
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and take this down.
All right.
We have patterns everywhere. This is a new pattern. Patterns exist in our everyday lives everywhere, whether it be man-made, whether it be natural. Patterns everywhere. There's all kinds of patterns. Straight line patterns, Jackson Pollock patterns. Is that even a pattern? Is that chaos? Is that a pattern to him? So there's patterns in our whole life. So right now we're in the back of Philbrook Museum, the main villa, and we're standing out over the formal garden. You see all the direct lines, triangles, straight lines. This scene right here, all the way to the Tempietto, for the most part, definitely up here, is the same way that it looked when they built the house and finished in 1929. That's the same. You can go back and look at pictures of the kids out here on these exact stones. Our gardens here at Philbrook were built at a time where a lot of the gardens were being built for a reprise from the city, a prize from the chaos. But still, in this garden, you come out and it starts out very formal, very rigid, very lines, sharp lines, all that. And then as you go further away from the museum, it relaxes and gets more informal. But there's patterns and everything. I could go really deep into biology versus physiology versus form, function, context, all that good stuff. But let's keep it fun. We're going to walk around a little bit, but just show that we do pattern in everything we do, whether intentional or unintentional.
So one of the things that people modeled this off of, Waite and Genevieve Phillips, they went to a place called Villa Lante, which is in Italy.
Right.
And if you look it up on Wikipedia or Google, you'll see some similarities. You'll see a Tempietto and some...
They have the water reels. They're a little more florally or leafy in pattern.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is the number one pattern in the whole place. You come out here to this back front door, to the back door, to this fountain, all the way through that Tempietto is a straight line. How much formal can you be than having a straight line cut all the way through the garden?
Right, because one thing people may not realize is if you stand here, so we're looking directly at the Tempietto, and then you turn around, you would be facing the original entrance to the home.
Right.
If you walk straight through those doors. So it'd be like if you lived here, you could walk in those doors, set your things down,
Right.
come out here, and that's your view.
And that's a pattern, and for a lot of people, that's very pleasing. Like I said, there's some people that don't like a pattern. That is their pattern, their own pattern. But formal gardens, formal lines, nature. I mean, we can go into patterns with everything, whether it be the way we plant, the spacing, the rules of three. Planting three things together is more pleasing to the eye, the golden rule, all these different things that we like. But I think for the most part, we like lines. We like formal. It just makes us feel comfortable. Let's that we have been here.
And there's also a kind of mirrored element here. When you look to the left and you look to the right, you can fold them on top of each other, and they would work there. So let's go down into the East Garden.
Let's walk and talk.
Yeah. So how long have you worked here, Trevor?
I've been here for 13 years. I started 9/11 of 2006.
And that was 2 years after
The renovation.
a major renovation. So people may not know, in 2004, there was a big garden renovation.
It was called Realizing the Dream.
And
it was it was expensive redo of the gardens. Mainly, they did some inside too, but we really kind of vamped up the gardens. I came after that, so I didn't get to see a lot of the older buildings and things like that.
And the garden was closed for a period of time when that
Right,
was
right.
happening.
It's like we all know, furloughing and things like that. But I think the garden staff went down to 2 people for quite a while.
Yeah, so And a lot of that was, everything from paving stones to out into the South Formal Garden. So it was not just this area. Like you mentioned, this remains somewhat similar to the way it's always been.
Yeah, you can find pictures, and it's very similar through here. Very formal, very straight lines.
So here we've got triangles, right?
Yep.
And there looks like there's what, 3 beds of triangles on each side.
Six beds of flowers that we've just put in this year. These used to be a euonymus, just a ground cover, and now we're planting these. We had a tulip crop in here, and now we have the zinnias in here. You can see the straight lines. You can still pick up the straight lines in the zinnias. Just pleasing to the eye.
So how do you, when you're planting tulips or zinnias, sometimes you don't actually know what the color will be when you drop the bulb in or you drop the seed in. So you have to be prepared for it to be a little bit chaotic color-wise.
Right. We can control that too.
You can.
Because the bulb suppliers that we have in Amsterdam, we get the colors that we can. Now we decide if we want to keep those patterns together and keep colors and straight lines, and then a lot of times we will kind of shake up the box and kind of just put a natural pattern out there and see what happens.
Yeah. So are there any challenges to the restrictions that you face when dealing with a setup like this that's fairly stable and you're not really able to change it up much?
Not really. I mean, we can't mess with the infrastructure, but we can definitely, like I said, these 6 that have the flowers in them were ground cover forever. We decided to pull it out, plant them, make it more pop. I like that a whole lot. Some people may have liked the ground cover, but the only way you can really mess with a historic building and structure is to manipulate fauna. You got to stay away from the hard building, but in the fauna and things like that, you can change it and create different things. Every year we change colors in tulips, colors in summer annual planting. So it's always fresh, always new. So that's a good thing. And when our gardens go back open to the public on the 17th, come out and see us. I mean, because it's going to look different. It's not. I think we're looking really good right now.
And if you're a member, you can come on the 6th of June.
Right.
And if you're not a member, join so you can come see us first.
Right. Exactly.
So your specialization here in the garden is turf,
well,
right?
I do. I'm the landscape manager here at Philbrook, and I take care of the turf, the berm areas or unimproved areas, trees.
What is a berm?
A berm, we have some natural berms that, not natural, they were built out here, berms that are kind of raised areas with trees on things. And we have 25 acres here, but those berms create more secluded areas. It's kind of like be putting panels up in your house, just kind of direct flow, and this makes for a more intimate experience.
So in terms of turf, we haven't had people here for a couple of months.
Right.
You're not getting a kind of foot traffic and trampling.
Exactly.
Have you noticed that's changed the turf at all?
We've had some areas that I think, sorry people, but I think it's been a good break for some of the grass and the soil to kind of rest a little bit, kind of rejuvenate and be ready. But we're going to be ready for people. Their gardens are.
We are definitely ready for people.
They're tired of looking at the same 8 people.
So there's 25 acres here.
Yes.
That grew at one point because we acquired some property
on the south side.
On the south side.
So we went from 23 to 25 acres.
We've talked about this before, but at the height of summer, when mowing is happening all the time, how often are we mowing? Every day?
We, for the most part, weather pending, we're going to mow every day when it's growing. I mean, this time of year right now with the cool season grasses, they're going crazy. We're mowing a lot. The heat of summer is going to come on. We're going to kind of slow down, just like everybody else. When the heat comes on, the grass is going to slow down and pick back up in the fall. But it's a constant process.
So
on the landscape side of it, we have myself and Robert work on that. So it keeps it with 2 people on 25 acres. A large portion of that, about at least half of that being in turf. It keeps us busy. So yeah, it's a constant process.
So this year, obviously, we're dealing with one set of circumstances that is impacting the gardens. Last year we had some major flooding happening.
Yes. Yeah,
so
like a long time ago
that was
when the Arkansas was just coming out of its banks.
Yeah, so that was about a year ago.
Right.
We had not seen rain like that in a while. Did that have any long-term impact on the gardens?
You're going to have a lot of the plants, if they didn't like wet feet, it's going to have an effect on them. The environment's always going to change. it's fun because you never know, especially in Oklahoma, you never know what you're going to get. So
And we have, we've had some rain this spring, but
Right.
not anything like that.
it's still perfect. I did a talk a while back on turf and things like that. And I'm bragging that I still haven't watered any of our turf. We've had enough rainfall. I haven't turned on.
So that's good for the bottom line
Yes,
too.
exactly.
Keep our water bill
We
down.
want to be smart and good stewards of the earth.
So when you're talking about patterns, obviously you have these beds.
Right.
You also have these shrubbery that makes the space. What is that? Is that just like a boxwood?
That is a boxwood. That is a boxwood that we keep trimmed. We have some boxes on property in a bed over here. I won't take you over there, but they're massive. I mean, so we trim these up, keep them nice and neat.
Do these grow fast? Do they need constant upkeep?
It depends on the environment. Certain years they flush and grow a lot, and certain years they don't. Just like with the tree, certain years they produce lots of nuts, sometimes they don't. Environment plays a huge part in what we do here as horticulturists here at Philbrook Museum of Art.
So when you're mowing, do you try, just a random question, do you mow in certain patterns?
We do. I like to lay down some lines that's pleasing to me. There's some
You go on a
lawns out here.
diagonal?
Do what? Yeah, mow on a diagonal. We switch directions, so you get after 3 weeks you can see 3 sets of lines.
There's kind of a
on there.
crosshatch kind of
Yeah,
thing going?
crosshatch is really, you can be creative like that. Are there times when I want to go to a circle lawn and cut bullseyes in back and forth? Yes.
Yeah.
And then that would be a pattern. I would like it. I don't know if the public
So
would.
that's kind of, is that up to you? You kind of get to curate
I
the
do-
patterns
I
of
do,
the...
Sheila
of the
gives us-
lawn?
Sheila Knotts is our manager, and she gives us a lot of freedom in our decisions. Obviously, she's going to have the final say, but she lets us have a lot of freedom in what we do.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about mowing words into it so that planes could see it overhead?
I've thought about we seed with the seed. I've always thought about going across the creek and putting in a
Like
message
a
in the
SOS?
grass. Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So, yeah, here we are in this space here by the bowl fountain. And this kind of looks down into the east garden.
Right. We don't have it running today because we don't run it when guests are not here.
Yeah,
It's on a timer.
it is. This is on a timer.
Yes.
Does this water connect down into the ponds below? Is it on one big cycle?
It does. It does. The reels to this bowl fountain drains out when it's running, goes into the small pool, goes into the larger pool. So it's all, and these pools out here, which used to be their swimming pools, function like a large swimming pool. We have a large room with filters and all that good stuff. So we recycle a lot of the water.
Yeah, a lot of people may not know that the reflecting pond was a functioning swimming pool. Diving board.
Right. There's still on one of the rocks out there. There's a little island. You can see right on the cord with the bodies on it. It's over in the deep end.
So what you've been here for, you said 13
years.
years. Does it ever get monotonous doing the same piece of property over and over again, or does it change up enough to keep you kind of excited and creative?
Yes and no. That's why I love living in Oklahoma too. We have 4 seasons, definite 4 seasons. And here, for me, about the time that I'm getting tired of doing something, the weather changes, and so you can split it up. But no, it's I enjoy it. People come to me all the time when you're working, and to the gardeners when we're working, and they ask, "Oh, what a wonderful place to work at." A lot of times you have to stop and smell the roses and look up and see where you're at, because like any job, you kind of get focused and you're concentrated on one thing, tunnel vision, and then it takes that someone saying, "What a beautiful place," and then you look up and you're like,
Yeah, you
wow,
never take
it
for
is.
granted that
No.
you get to come to this place every day for work.
Exactly.
Did you always want to work outside and kind of be out in nature for a living? Was that something you wanted to do even as a young person?
I never saw myself in an office situation behind a desk. Grew up in the Oklahoma Panhandle. My family, my wife's family that I married into is horse family. I was an animal science student at Oklahoma State. Love animals. Transitioned into turf, and I've been, like I said, I've been here 13 years. I've been in the turf industry for 20 years. So it's something that I really love and I really enjoy doing.
Do you think that, how many people do we have, give or take, on the horticultural staff at any given time?
8 total, and this is the first time. We're pretty much full up right now, which has been a long time since we have been. Happened right before.
Do
this happened.
people seem amazed sometimes when you tell them you only have less than 10 people managing this entire property? Because sometimes people ask, do you have 30 people managing it? They don't understand.
That it is. It's and that speaks a lot to who we hire and who works here and their feelings towards nature and horticulture in general too, because they love doing this.
And having a plan to maintain everything.
Right, exactly.
Because I'm sure you guys are just constantly cycling through different pieces. Yeah.
Right.
Well, good. Well, I think we appreciate this. It's a beautiful day. We picked a nice day.
Get outside, get in your backyard, take a walk.
And what day can we expect to see people back here again?
June 6th, members opening. Back to the gardens. We're going to open the gardens first before we open the museum. So we're going to like slowly kind of slide into it. But we're going to do where we can. We're going to come to the gardens first, where we can distance. We can have plenty of room between us. Like I said, there's.
And you've got your mask ready to go.
Ready to go. But there's eight of us out here, and we have 25 acres. So it's been a great job because we can definitely keep our distance from everybody else. But we're going to ease back into the gardens and start there, and then the museum will come. But June 6th
for members, June 17th for the public.
I expect to see you here June 17th for the general public.
And we'll tell people
members.
They have to get tickets in advance because we're going to do these time periods.
Right, exactly.
And tickets go on sale May 27th. So May 27th, go on philbrook.org, get your advance tickets, and come out
make your plans
and see this place. Hang out here with us.
This garden is ready for people to see it.
All right. Thank you, Trevor.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.